Hello. Let's see. We have a little request, so I'm going to attempt to fill it, which is how do I set up a calendar and how do I assign values for certain types of visits, basically charges that apply to medical billing codes, etc. Alright, first thing, if you'll follow the bouncing ball, and mind you this is a slightly older menu, etc. than you may find in your current copy, but I am going to check out a few things here and you'll find something similar. External data loads. Alright, so here we will find that I've got code releases basically for ICD-10 codes, etc. And that came with the LibreHealth package. So I'm going to go ahead and install the diagnosis codes. These are not necessarily the procedure codes and diagnosis codes that are outlined for your region and country that come with the package. You can certainly replace these, and please join us on the forum if you would like to see, say, the ICD-10 AM, like Australia codes, etc. Okay, so we have finished installing the ICD-10 codes. Now for some other US codes, I am actually, so I just have them and I don't have to do a whole lot of that. I am going to do something that's a bit custom here. It is in, will be in your copy of the system, but this just allows me to load a whole bunch of what we call HCPCS or HCPCS, which is codes sort of based off of ICD-9, I believe, as used by Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services here in the U.S. All right. That gave me some stuff to work with. Now first, let's backtrack just a little bit, and we should probably hunt down our calendar stuff. So let's just take a look. And we're a little bit older. In the calendar that you see now, you should probably see a little gear icon somewhere that will have a lot of your configuration specifically for the calendar there. I am going to take a different route, and I'm going to try to find my calendar stuff. Gosh, see, here I am hunting and picking through things. Do you guys see it? Oh, there. Okay, calendar administration. Here we've got visit categories, and we could modify them, etc., or we can add to them. Now, please note that calendar categories can translate directly into encounter types or encounter category names. So you have calendar events, calendar event categories or types that you can put up there, and like we see, you know, no show, lunch, da 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 da. Those are statuses and types of visits, sure, which you can add to. Some of these are patient related, some of these are obviously office related. If it is applicable to a patient, you would be obviously selecting patient here. All day evolution things, that would be reserved for holidays, etc. Now mind you, the color that you select here is relevant if you go to the global settings under administration. You will find that there is a calendar configuration item for showing appointments in the calendar based on the category of the calendar appointment versus what facility in your list of facilities. Now there's physical locations, group NPIs, however, you know, tax IDs or whatever types of entities or place of service location codes, such as, oh, this is a home visit, this is a inpatient hospital visit, etc. So you can have the option in your calendar to display those either by the category, the appointment category type, or color coded by at what facility. Well, this goes to our primary care side of our clinic, and this is our urgent care side of our clinic, or this is our lab, etc. So you've got those two options to flip-flop between. That's why the color is important. All right, I'm not going to actually do any of these. I'm not going to delete that, and I think I'm just going to go bye-bye. So that's your calendar administration. All right, now let's look deep into some junk here at basically what's referred to as the lists that are in the layout administration. There are many, many, many of these. There are a great many of these. Many of them are not named very well and have no documentation as to what they are, etc. But there are a few that are really important here. Here we will see that I have got, closing this, here you'll see that I've got a bit of a slew of different code types. So when we say code types here, we're talking about your, generally speaking, you're talking about diagnosis codes, intervention or procedure codes, or also codes for medications, or as you see here, CPT2. That is the horrible little code set that goes along with CPT4, which is the American Medical Association's procedure codes that are matched with ICD-10. Those would be, as we see here, we have ICD-10 diagnosis types and ICD-10 procedure types. We have both of those enabled here, but the countries other than the U.S. will not necessarily need either of any of these three that you see here. Maybe the others aren't. I don't even know what PHIN. I'm pretty sure that LOINC is is for your lab type activities. RxCUI is obviously prescription stuff, and PHIN is some sort of questionnaire. I really don't know. So there's a chunk of my education that is not too hot. CVX are immunization codes. So these are the different types of codes that you would be using, and effectively in LibreHealthEHR you do an encounter, which is a who, what, when, and where. With the encounter, that's your date of service, your place of service, your providers, etc. To that encounter, you attach your clinical forms, be they your income assessment, your plans, your interventions, your outcomes, etc. And with those is always what we call the fee sheet, which, yes, is a piece of the accounting system, but when you apply these codes to an encounter, either through an interface of the actual intervention clinical note form by, I selected medications verified, or I entered vitals and I have a BMI that is high. Okay, so it's possible for all those forms to automatically generate a code, such as for medications verification would probably be a 4004F, or maybe that's smoking cessation or something. But it's possible for those to just generate them and add them to the billing, even though they're not necessarily billing. It adds them to the billing of that encounter and shows up on the fee sheet. But this is the general code types. So here we have these code categories, right? Now this is going to be very important later. Generally speaking, these are the defaults that you'll see when they're coming up, when you first install it. And let's see if there's anything else. Now, is it called fee sheet? The fee sheet. Okay. Now, basically, what you've got here is this is a list of quick pick drop downs that you will have ready to go. So you're coding an encounter and you want to find the codes that are appropriate. Now there's a search feature. You can search for whatever you want. You say, okay, diabetic retinopathy, and poof, the search results will come back with a diagnosis code for that, and you can select it, and oh, it added it to it. That's great, right? But most of the folks out there, they tend to do the same things over and over again, such as these simple 5 levels of office visits here by CPT-4. If you're not familiar with CPT-4, this is just, showing, there are equivalents in ICD-10 procedure codes, I'm sure, but these are just some different inpatient, outpatient office codes. Now, I could add new groupings, which this makes up one list, that makes up the other list. So that's 2 items in that have drop downs in the fee sheet right now. I could add more to that. I could let's add I don't know, let's just say now, by the way, this number will not be seen in the system. This is just giving this first number you type is just giving the system a clue as to which of these drop downs should be listed first, second, third. So I'm going to say cardiology, and we're going to call it this is going to be the first item here, and I'm going to put INR. Okay, now I'm going to add something here, and let's well, we'll go ahead with the CPT-4, fine, and okay, I do not believe either one of those heard that. Let's see. I'm not actually a physician. I don't really know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, this is therapeutic phlebotomy, separate procedure. That's totally wrong, but I've added a code to it. Now I'm going to add another witness. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, the basic idea here, that's totally inappropriate. Let's just say we're adding 2 codes here. Let's go ahead and add a ICD-10 code, ICD-10 diagnosis for CHF, I guess. Okay. Okay. Alright, so now what you see is that when we pick INR, which is totally inappropriate name now, let's see, let's call it, let's just call it Code Zebra. We've now created a new group with 1 item in it that generates 3 codes when you click that 1 item. All right, I've now saved this. Okay, we've done a little bit there. Now I'm going to go to administration codes. Now, let's go ahead and got CPT for procedure service. I have no idea what code that was that I added. Let's go back. Let's open up another tab. Hopefully open up another tab. This will not open up another tab in here. Great. Let's go ahead and go back to the lists and fee sheet. Now I want to pick that code. I'm just going to go ahead and copy all this. And we got a 99195 and a 99605. All right. I've got it copied somewhere. So let's go ahead and go back to codes. All right. Muy importante aquí. Let's look here. So I'm going to look for CPT4, and I'm just going to paste some junk in there. And I'm going to narrow it down to the code that I put in there. This code has no modifier. It is active. It's category. We don't have any code categories here. Wonder why. All right. I'm going to add this. Now the fee I'm going to say is $15. Fine. And I'm going to add this as a new code. Cannot add because this duplicates something that already exists. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for it instead, because that code is already in the system. Now, if I had been inventing my own in-house code, and I would have said it was Zebra 1, and that's the code. This is a Zebra 1 mod 01. Now this would not be appropriate to send via electronic data interchange to an insurance company, but maybe you might want to generate a code on your own. Maybe you don't have a full set of codes for billing, or maybe you only do about 5 or 10 different procedures, and you don't want to import the entire list. You just want to sit here and type in each one of those codes that you're going to use and restrict it to that and nothing but that. I still recommend, of course, importing all of the diagnosis codes, because they may be cool to have and their descriptions get updated when you do that every year, but you can do this and you can write your own description. If we have categories assigned, then we can do so, which I still have not turned something on, and you can assign a fee for that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look in CPT4. I'm going to look for this code, and I'm going to search for it. All right. Do I have a space in there? Why, yes, I did. Okay. There we go. All right. I am going to now edit this code. Follow me? All right. So now I've got the code. There's no modifier. I can decide if I want to, like, check this for the syndromic surveillance report, or have it like as an important code that I want to do reporting on. But in the meantime, I'm going to just go ahead, and this is, by the way, the standard fee. That's modified by percentage, etc., but the standard fee for this is going to be 15. And now I'm going to update it. I've got to get this is my fee sheet categories. We'll look into that later. Maybe I'll do that as a follow-up. But now we know that we've got that code, and it is worth $15. Anytime we bill it, it will charge $15. Now let's go ahead and search for that other code. I'm going to enter it. Gosh, I should have just stuck with what I know. And there it is, and I'm going to edit that one, and I'm going to charge this, let's call that one $25. Yeah, big money. All right, now, these categories. There are two ways of creating categories. One was that fee sheet list that I showed you where you can enter the things for quick drop downs. I believe it's a combination of that or an either or. There is another list of categories of codes that can be used, and they when you assign a code to one of these categories that you've invented, it automatically creates those as sets of drop downs in the fee sheet. But with that system, you do not have the ability to add more than one code to a single drop down choice. So some people refer to these as explode codes when you can click on one item, and it always has the same diagnosis, or it always has a companion service that always happens as part of your clinical procedure. So if your protocol meets that, then that would probably be the method you do. If you're always chasing down odd little things, I would use the second method, which is, or maybe it's possible to do both, but I would use the second method, which is simply set up some categories in a different list, and code categories, I believe they're called, and create that and start assigning the codes that you regularly use so that they make them into selectable little blocks. And I keep talking about this, and that's the fee sheet, which we have not gotten to, but one thing at a time. Maybe it'll all come clear if I've managed to confuse you. Now I'm going to update this. Now mind you, if I decided that I always have a modifier, like a 2.5 for extended or whatever, that I want with this, I would probably be adding it as new, which means that code plus that modifier is a normal standard searchable thing. But here I'm just going to update this. All right, let's look for a couple more, and I am going to look for a 99201. Here we have. I'm going to edit this, and here I could change the name of this. I could call it whatever I need to call of it. I could call it whatever I need to, right? All right, and I could charge whatever I need to for that, right? And it's a 99201. Now I'm going to update this. And now that code will always say Quickie Proctological Exam, and it will always cost $10,000. Okay, so we've done a little bit here with the codes administration or services, whatever you want to call them. Let us go to see, do I have any patients in the system? Well, I do have one patient in this system. Normally, I've got hundreds of thousands because I generate artificial data and typically use that. Here, I guess I must have been testing something else, but I have got test rat client here. Yep, test rat client. All right, with some typos. So this test rat, I don't even have a facility set up in this system. I'm going to collapse that. Hey, let's do that real quick. While we're at it, a very important part of setting up your clinic is to first replace this here default clinic with something useful. And second, of course, gosh, this stuff was really big, oversized at this point in the coding. Let's say this is slightly older code. Let's go ahead and change the name of the clinic to Now, Arts Clinic actually has a legal entity name, which is Sunshine All right, so we're Sunshine Services Very Limited. Now that is our legal entity name that will be associated with the tax ID number, which may or may not be relevant and may be nonetheless co-optable for your region system. Anytime you find something where you have, well, we don't use national provider identifiers and we do things differently in our region, go to LibreHealth.io, sign up on the forum, talk to us, tell us about how your region does business so that we can make mods to fit what you guys need. All right, here I'm going to give the facility its NPI. While we're at it, I could do email. This is a billing location, a service location, and it is the primary business entity because we have a single clinic. All right. How about that? And now this facility is a facility that was in that calendar. Remember the facility categories versus, man, we like fuchsia and stuff. That facility category view in color versus the category versus the encounter or the appointment type color scheme. This is where you would find the difference in that. All right, now the place of service code is very important. It's at an office. This is a X12, if that means anything to you. If it doesn't, look at x12.org. That is all, most electronic billing data uses this standard. CLIA number, I don't have one at my facility. That is basically your lab's number, and billing attention would be amplifying information that would go in electronic exchange data, as well as when you post actual invoices and you print them from the system, it can use that as a return address. All right, so we're going to save that, and gosh, I'm not going to do either one of those. All right, so here we go. I had that facility. Unrelated to tweaking codes, but also very important overall. Here we go. Now we're going to go to a past encounter list for this patient. Gosh, we don't have any encounters for this patient, so I'm going to create a new encounter. Now, mind you, you can set things up to where if you got an appointment in the calendar, if there is an appointment in the calendar, what you can do is you can make things so that when you click on an encounter or on a visit in the calendar or flow sheet, you can have it automatically generate an encounter for the patient. But we're not doing that right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit new encounter. And things are running slow because I'm doing a lot on our computer here. All right, our visit category is going to be a new patient. Well, let's make it a office visit. Sure. Okay, it's an office visit. The place of service is here. It's going to be the entity billing it is also going to be Arts Clinic. Now, Test Track Client is very famous, so we're making the sensitivity high. That is access control stuff. Now, we don't need an onset or hospitalization date, but we do have a date of service. I would like to comment here that you notice this is year, full year, month, and day. Please, if you want to avoid much trouble in life, use that date scheme in all of your medical documentation. Going month, day, year, day, month, year, whatever other schema. One, it doesn't naturally sort chronologically or numerologically, and this is the actual behind the scenes date format typically used in computers, in communications, etc. And it's easier to get used to doing things this way if you haven't in the past than it is to fix the problems, the many, many, many problems. And you will find edge cases that have not been taken care of, where this date gets transposed to something else and back to the other, and things get screwed up, and who knows. I'm not saying there's anything in this system that will do that, but it happens a lot out there in the wild. Alright, so I have done these things. Now, I don't have any issues for this patient. This patient doesn't have any issues, apparently. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick an existing problem, something that's already defined, hypertension. And I can Alright, and there is a diagnosis associated with that, and they just reported this today. It's there, and gosh, it's the first occurrence, and well, we haven't diagnosed anything here yet, but okay, so we got that. Alright, so now this patient has an issue assigned to them, so I can always select that issue, which it's selected right now. Right? Okay, so this patient's always got some known issues that are going on with them. And by the way, as far issues, meaning medical issues, allergies, on and on and on, you can, there are interfaces for setting those up and refining those as well. So we're going kind of high level here on the overall use. Now, here we go. We have now entered our consultation brief description. Please avoid the tendency to write your entire clinical note in the consultation brief description. It doesn't make for pretty documentation elsewhere. Now, up here, forms administration gives you different forms and allows you to assign different categories to things and blah, 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 blah. And there's lots of forms you can add and you can customize them and on and on and on and on. But basically, you've got a little bit of stuff here. We're going to actually take their vitals, and they are 0.5 pounds. It's a big rat. Their length is 13 centimeters. (200/150). It's a rat. 300. Respiration 60. Temperature 105 Fahrenheit. Oxygen saturation 99%. Head circumference 3 inches. Waist circumference 4.5 centimeters. And there we go. Now we can have, I'm pretty sure the BMI status is kind of out of whack here. But, and we can't look at a growth chart because we've only got one entry here. But I'm going to go ahead and save this form for this dear rat. Okay, now we have an encounter. And we took some vitals, and, you know, I could do whatever else I may need to do here with other forms, but we got enough here. Now, when I filled out this, we could have set up the system to automatically generate codes, but here's the important part. Now, other things in here are important to look at, but let's go with just straight to the fee sheet. Now, you see, we had that new patient. Remember that list we looked at? So we're going to look at a brief. What do you know? Look, the 99201 we charged $10,000 for. It's the quickie proctological exam. Now under cardiology, we did a code zebra. That also added these two codes here for $15 and $25, and it added the CHF diagnosis code. Now, I have one diagnosis here. I'm going to go ahead and search to add. I'm going to search ICD-10, and I'm going to say F300. Search. Okay, I had no items there. Let's look for F4. Let's go capital F. 4-1. Okay, I have 5 items here. Generalized anxiety order. Okay, great. So now I've added these two. So for this, I'm going to justify that with that. For this, I'm going to justify with the other two. Ta-da! I am the rendering physician. I am the only physician here. The price level is standard because I have not allowed any price levels other than standard, which is standard to be doing. I do not wish to delete any of these. I have already authorized all of these. Now, important part when setting up your clinic. There are some items here that we will look at. Slow. I am running this on a junky little laptop. Slow. Okay. So let's look at what were we doing, guys? Oh yeah, authorization. Encounter. Support provider inline. Okay, here's something I could turn on. So I would add a provider per line item here. This would give us a default that the provider that is rendering it or created the encounter would default that person's name in there. Automatically replicate justification codes in fee sheet. That would automatically, if I pick this first one, it would automatically pick the same justification for every procedure item in there. Allow fee sheet items to be excluded from insurance billing. Remember that code Zebra 1? Let's look. Let's see. So did we have, did I actually save that? No, I didn't. I apparently didn't save it, or I saved it in a different category. If we had created that Zebra 1 in-house code, I could have selected, and I had this selected when I created it, I could have marked it as a code that does not go out to insurance, meaning it won't be submitted when, if you were to bill all the other items electronically to an insurance company, submit it, it would not go out to them. Show supervising, ordering, referring, contract physician. Contract physician, you know, that's a eat what you kill shop, etc., and you need to do reporting on that basis and figure out pay. That would be very important thing here. This could be contractor. This could be counselor. This could be almost anything. Scheduling of appointments from the fee sheet. It would be possible for someone to actually create another appointment from here. There is something here that would authorizations, probably under billing. Units column on the billing screen. We want that on, actually. Normally speaking, if I did something and I want to be able to add units, oh, on the billing screen, different thing. Well, I want that on anyway. That's something else. Do not, automatic calculation, entry of primary insurance. It's not there. We're looking for authorizations. I don't know. Let's see. Nope, not there. Gosh, don't you like picking around and things like this? Anyway, some Medicare refers render. They're somewhere in here. Somewhere in here we have a thingy that will allow us to turn off the automatic authorization. Skip authorization of patient notes. Okay, that actually applies to the billing items. So, with that off, if I were to do that, and with that off, if later I go in and do another fee sheet here, then when I create all these items, they will not be authorized automatically. If you're the doctor and you say this is going out as is, you could check those off at that point in time, but you would be forced to check it off. If you have an actual adult in the room, meaning you're billing people, and they're going to be reviewing all the stuff that you're billing before it goes out, you may want to leave it to where that is unauthorized, so it will not get included with stuff that gets fired off. Or they've got the line item in red so they can say, yeah, I see this encounter. I'm going to go and I'm going to check it. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to check every line and make sure that dang doctor did not screw something up when billing this encounter. If they did, I'm going to change it. I'm going to ping him back on it and make sure that he got everything right. Then authorize it and send it out. If you want that system of checks and balances, I strongly encourage you to do that. All right, but here we are. We're all good with our fee sheet. I'm going to save it. Gosh, we got all that stuff. It has been billed. And how much does this patient owe? Well, let's check them out. This is the slowest server in anywhere. Gosh, okay. Okay, so this is the patient's little dashboard here, right? And, you know, I could be editing it and all that other good stuff. And by the way, everything you see, there is nothing that you see here that is not configurable in the system. Please, got some questions on how to do this right, please ask them on the forums. There is also video and some written documentation on doing all this stuff. Just remember that if you want it to include something or get rid of something or add something that can be tracked with a cool report, you're totally free to do anything you want. I'm pretty sure the only thing you can't really tweak is insurance stuff. It can be tweaked, but it's set up so you can't tweak it too much because, you know, you can really bag things up by doing that. All right. So let's go and, gosh, I probably don't have this set to automatically expand the billing widget. No, I do not. But if I had that feature on, it would automatically show you that the patient balance due is now $10,040. Obviously, you know, they don't have any insurance set up, so their insurance balance due, and hasn't been billed out, their insurance balance due is nothing. They're self-pay, total balance due. We got it all there. And, you know, of course, this is perfectly reasonable, right? Okay. That's great, grand, and fine. Doing anything else with billing is for another time and another topic. Our goal here today was to kind of touch on a few things that were outside of the normal realm while showing you how to add codes, set up codes, configure codes, and assign charges for them. Thank you guys. It was fun. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening to me, even though I'm sitting here totally off the cuff with no script. Been a pleasure.